Hey, what's up guys? Welcome back to another video. In today's video, we're going to talk about one night stands and hooking up, if they really happen. How do they happen? The things that you need to know about hooking up and getting into one night stands. Can you get into a relationship after you hook up, or should you be directly going for a relationship or hooking up? Just basically everything that you've ever wanted to know about that, but were just too afraid or embarrassed to ask. Let's go. Welcome back guys. If you don't already know me, my name is Kshitij and I teach you guys about dating advice, relationships and just how to have an amazing lifestyle. So today's video is going to be about one night stands, which has been one of the things which I have been into for a long time, where I feel that my expertise lies, because having been someone who's been into a lot of one night stands, a lot of hooking up for almost the past decade. So I feel I have an understanding about how these things work, and this is going to be from a perspective of someone who's been there, who's done that, and also coaching hundreds and thousands of guys about that, and just spoken to a lot of girls about it, a lot of guys about it, and just the urban landscape which it is now. So anytime I've spoken about hooking up with girls and everything, they don't fucking tell you. Why? Because they feel that fear of judgment. And which was the purpose about me making this video, because anytime when I was starting out with this thing and I wanted to know about how the fuck do you hook up with people, and do hookups even happen, the girls who I was friends with, and I'd ask them like, I mean, do you guys hook up, do you do this or not? And they take it very personally and never just say anything that yeah, I hook up, or this is how, you know, I hooked up with the guy. And anytime I start hooking up with a girl, those were the ones who'd be much more open about it. And when I'd ask them, when we were clearly like, alright, this is not going to be a relationship, and then when I would ask them, yeah, bhai, tell me about your hookups and tell me about all that stuff, then they would tell me, and I'd sort of like connect the dots and everything. And now fast forward after like 10 years where I can just understand, alright, these are the things that happen. And so just wanted to put it out there for you guys, and that's what we're talking about in this video. Firstly, the age-old question, do they happen? Being in a country like India, or maybe wherever you are, you might be thinking that this is a place where people do not just randomly have sex, and sex is something very scarce. So if you're someone who hasn't been getting laid, who hasn't had a lot of sexual experiences, and you see other guys who are always in relationships, or who are always surrounded by girls, or at the same time, you know, you might be looking at some girls and you might think like, alright, this girl, she's never going to be hooking up with anyone, she's never going to be having a one night stand. And you might have certain beliefs like you need to respect yourself for you to not have one night stands, and you might be passing certain judgments around the boys, around the girls and everything. So we're going to talk about all the truth which is there. Coming back to the part that do these things happen. So no matter where you are, right, no matter where you are, you could be in an urban area, you could be in a first world country, a third world country, or you could be in a village. People are hooking up. Why do I know that? Here's the reasoning behind it. The thing is, human beings are the same everywhere. The tendencies are going to be very different at times for people to hook up with someone or not hook up with someone. But the fact that it doesn't ever happen, that's not true. Because people are biologically going to be the same everywhere, and they'd want almost the similar things everywhere. So even if you go to a village like India, noticing that example from one of the Bollywood movies called Devdi. So there you can see the girl goes to a farm, alright, jahan pe khet vet hote hain. She goes to a farm with a mattress on her bicycle, riding into the farm where she's going to meet the protagonist Abhay Deol out there, where they're going to have sex. So she had already planned it properly from her side. And because I've got relatives in villages and different states out here in India, and whenever I go to visit them, the stories that those guys tell me has been pretty fucking amazing, alright? So one thing is for sure, that people are getting laid everywhere. And then if you talk about the clear urban cities like New Delhi or New York or LA, things out there are also happening. People have been having sex. And now with the advent of online dating apps and everything, like Tinder literally being a hookup app. Of course, you can get into a relationship off Tinder, but majorly everybody knows that Tinder is a hookup app. If you download a dating app, it's much easier for you to hook up, even because of the club culture. Because when you go to a club, everyone's out there having fun. Everyone's just in a very non-judgmental environment, and everyone's just going with the flow. And naturally, when you talk about having fun, hooking up and having sex is something very normal and very natural, where it leads to with people who are in their 20s or even in their 30s. One thing that I see every time, which was true in my journey as well, before I knew anything about pickup, before me having all these experiences, when you look at girls, you have a tendency to divide them into two categories, and you call it the Madonna whore complex as well. If there's a girl who looks cute and who looks nice, who looks sort of like Madonna, she's your neighborhood girl, right? Girl's face is more like cute and pretty, and she doesn't look very naughty. She looks like one of those nice girls, like how, you know, you categorize them, that this girl's gonna be nice. It's because of the way she talks, the way she walks, the kind of clothes she wears. So a lot of those things. So when we look at a girl like that, we feel that, alright, this girl, she wants to be respected. When you go up to her, you're not supposed to be talking sexually with her. You're supposed to just be a nice guy, respect her, talk about her life, and just take her out on a date, never make a sexual move. Whereas on the other hand, if you see a girl who dresses a little bit more slutty, who's maybe showing some more skin, who's really hot, who's got the flaming vibe, right? Like someone like, let's say, Megan Fox, or one of these Instagram models that you see who are just showing off a lot of skins, or their big asses and big butts and everything is out there. We tend to divide them into two categories, and we feel that this girl, more out there, who's showing more skin, who's more sexually active, accepted sex as her identity and isn't shy to show off her sexual side. We feel that she's gonna be a slut and she's gonna be having sex with everyone else and she's not gonna be dating material. Here's the problem with this thing, alright? And partly, at some times, I'm not saying that this is never gonna be true. When you place people like this, it might be true. The problem with that thing is you don't know the girl right now. The person that you're talking to, you don't know them. You haven't had any experience with them. And what you're doing is you're not viewing the girl through the perspective that she really is, but only through the outward appearance, only through the looks. You might be deceiving yourself into believing that this girl is going to be like this. The other girl is not going to be a nice girl. So let's say you're talking to someone who's got the looks of Madonna or Britney, and she looks like a very nice girl. She looks like the girl next door. She looks like the girl who's really nice, who's going to be into studies, someone who's like, you know, scholar, and a typical part of a girl wears glasses and she's going to be that nice girl. So one girl falls into that category. Now, if you go up and you talk to her, you believe that she does not like sex. You believe that she's not going to be sexual and she must not have had sex. And she does not like if the conversation that you're having with her has sexual tension or you escalate sexually and you make a move. But here's the truth, you do not know about the girl. What if she does like sex? What if she is exactly the kind of girl that you think she's not? Now here's where you're gonna fuck up, because you're not gonna treat her the way she really is or the way you're supposed to treat a girl, but you divide them into boxes and you treat them differently. That's what's gonna create problems, and you're not gonna be getting this kind of a girl. Even if you do get her and you get into a relationship with her, anytime she starts to act different to what the way you perceived her to be, and let's say she shows off her sexual side in the bedroom to you, but now you haven't thought about that this girl is going to be showing me the sexual side. She's one of those girls who's not going to be sexual, who does not like that feisty things in the bedroom, who does not like those stuff that other girls would not want to do at the same time while having sex. You're going to be feeling, yeah, I cannot just like, you know, properly like pull hair. I cannot get into that dominant position. I cannot bang that ass. I cannot do things like that. I cannot have wild sex with her because she needs to be treated with respect. I need to show love to her. I need to show respect. And all you have sex in is just missionary position, just looking at her in the eyes and just kissing, rather than thinking about that, you know, let's switch things up. And eventually when she gets bored and she's like, babe, I want you to spank that ass, then you feel that, oh my god, she's a fucking slut, and now you start to judge her. But the problem being that right in the start, you did not see her for who she is, but rather who you wanted her to be. And then you ended up being all fucking devastated and not understanding how things happen. Similarly, the other girl who's accepted her sexuality and she wears it on her sleeve and she's very confident about it, alright? She knows that she's hot and she knows she wants to put it out there. She might be a very nice girl. She might be someone who's going to be really, really nice, who'd want to go out on a date with you and who would not want to, on the first date, want to have sex with you. Or who's not looking for hookups. She might be just looking for a relationship. But you judge that girl and you think that this girl is not that kind. And then when you go on a first date, you start to make a move and that really turns her off. With these two things, the problem happens with the judgments, with the things that you perceive. So number one thing you need to do is you need to stop looking at women and putting them into categories. Alright, that this girl is a nice girl, this is not the nice girl. And then rather what you do is you talk to a girl you see and you find out what kind of girl she is. And generally what's going to happen is girls are going to like that dominant wild sex. At the same time, if you're sometimes making love and having sweet, you know, normal, cuddly, loving, looking in the eyes kind of sex, both the things need to be there. You got to variate between the two. Mostly girls are going to be liking both of the things. The main problem happens here is the judgment. When you judge a girl for showing her slutty side to you, for showing a wild side to you in bed, when you judge her on that rather than just enjoying with her, that's what gets her to close off, and that's what gets her to shut off that side of her. And she might want to look for that stimulation outside somewhere in the relationship, because now after a point in time your sex is just going to be the same. The pattern is going to be there. If you're having sex missionary, you might just get fucking bored and look for the same stimulation outside or want to break up with you. So you always want to be mixing up things out there as well. At the same time, when you're thinking of a girl, don't think that, alright, this girl is not going to hook up with me at all unless you've proven otherwise. Judgment on just by the way she looks, it's got some truth to it. I'm not going to say that there's not going to be any truth to it. There might be a much better way for you to measure that. Ki sachi mein ye ho raha hai ya nahi ho raha hai. A much better way for you to measure that is to go out there and to find out and see if she's that kind of a girl, and not judge her in a way or not put them into categories like I'm not going to sexually escalate and develop sexual tension with this girl because she does not like sex, but I'm only going to do it with the other girl. One of the biggest things is sexuality when you're talking to a girl, when you're dating a girl. The only difference between you being friends with a girl and her being a romantic or a sexual interest is sex. Alright, is literally sex. If there is no sex, if there is no sexual tension, you can be damn fucking well sure that you're going to be friends. So stop judging the other girls and trying to limit your sex, at the same time getting into the judgments. Which naturally brings me to the next part, that the girls who do one night stands, are they sluts? Are those the girls who can never settle down with you? Are those the girls who are always going to cheat with you? Cheat on you or with you, same thing, alright? I've been in all the positions, alright? I've been in all the positions where girls have cheated on the boyfriends with me, alright, which I found out later on. But there was some time which I knew that she was kind of dating, and it was just one of those days where I'm like, fuck it, dude. Now I prefer not to have sex with a girl if she already has a boyfriend, alright? Because that's not something that want happen to me as well. Okay, मैं थोड़ा सा evolve हो गया हूँ. We've been like higher consciousness we're getting into. At the same time, I have been in those situations where I'm with a girl and she's cheated on me as well. Both the things are gonna happen. Now the thing is that, is she a slut for that? Is she a bitch? Has she cheated once? Is she always gonna be cheating on you? Next question that comes up out here is that, you know, from the Madonna Whore complex, the nice girl who you think is gonna be loyal to you, can she ever cheat on you? Or the other girl who looks slutty, who looks hot, is she always gonna cheat on you and she's not relationship material? Let's put it out there, right? The thing is, human beings have sex. It's clearly out there. Human beings have sex. Right now, if this comes as news to you, if you feel that people around you are not having sex, you're mistaken. Everybody around is almost having sex. People around me, they're always having sex. The girls I know are always talking to 4 or 5 guys, no matter how they look, no matter what kind of a girl she is, no matter if she's into a relationship or if she wants to be in a relationship or she wants to just hook up with people. Girls are always gonna have options because that's just how evolution puts it as. We're guys, we don't have that option. We're always out there and we want sex. Whereas for girls, they always have 5-6 guys around them who are always hitting on them and they can get sex easily. But the thing here is that they've got more to lose here, because let's talk about it through an evolutionary perspective. Long before, when we were cavemen, if some guy would come up to a girl and would just have sex with her and just knock her up and get her pregnant and then fucking leave. Now she was left off to fend off for herself, to take care of the baby for the next 9 months, and after that also take care of the baby, to raise him, to feed him, to take care of herself, the household and everything. At that time, men were the ones who were to build resources, gather resources, and to bring back and to protect the tribe, to protect his wife, and to bring food and resources for them to move ahead in life as well. And women had a lot more to lose, because a guy could go out and get like 10, 15, 20 girls pregnant, but at the same time the woman loses out a year or even more, because when she needs to take care of that offspring and raise the kid for like years and years and years, she needs that guy to provide her with the love and the support, the resources for her to be there. But for a guy, he could go around just spreading his seed everywhere and just giving birth to babies everywhere and just being the father of no matter how many ever he wants to be. With that, millions of years of evolution, with us being genetically coded like that, now evolutionary psychology, because of that, women still have a lot to lose biologically, on a biological level, on an evolutionary level. So guys are always out there having the problem that, oh my god, I cannot get girls. And women are always out there, why cannot I get the right guy? So they're looking for the right guy to find out, to settle down with, which is 100% true as well. So now coming back to the present moment, guys are always out there wanting to get girls, but girls are being more protective of themselves. So girls test more before having sex. Guys are just like, alright, fucking let's just have sex. And but that also depends on what age you're in. Now moving on to the next point of, alright, so if girls are always differently choosing guys, they're keeping themselves scarce and not having sex with everyone, how is it that women are having sex? And how is it that they are hooking up with people? So here it is. When it comes to hooking up, the thing that really matters to a girl is her social standing. What matters to her is, am I going to be judged by the world? Is my social status going to go down? Are people going to call me sluts? Is the society going to judge me? We're being very progressive out here. I wouldn't judge anyone on that, and that's what's been going on mainly. There is more propagation about not judging women, which is 100% right. There's more talk about owning your sexuality, and we're moving in the right direction of a non-judgmental society. But still right now, no matter what we do get affected by that. Men don't get affected by that so much, because anytime we're called a player, or like I'm called a player, I don't really mind about it. I'm like, say yeah, anybody calls me a fuckboy, I'm like, yeah dude, like who fucking cares? I'm getting laid, no fucking wonder. But for girls, that affects their social status. They face judgment from their peers, because girls are generally who call women bitches and who call them sluts as well. At the same time, there are guys who call women sluts. Where all of us have been in that situation where we go into a public restroom or the restroom in a school and college, and when we're taking a dump or when we're just peeing, we look up and on the door there's written that so and so girl is a slut, so and so girl slept with this and this person. Alright, so there's a lot of slut shaming around that part, and women want to protect themselves on that. When a girl has a one-night stand, or whenever she's out there, she needs to make sure that the guy is not judgmental. She's not gonna judge her on her sexual side. She needs to be sure that the guy is not gonna talk about it to a lot of people. And generally, that's what I keep in mind. So I don't kiss and tell. So the thing about kiss and tell being like when you kiss someone or when you have sex with someone, you're not supposed to say it to a lot of people. Ideally, you're supposed to be a nice guy and protect the girl's reputation. So because I understand that and because I'm completely non-judgmental about a girl's sexuality, they're more likely to be trusting me and more likely to be hooking up with me than some other guy who has a problem with her wearing, let's say, short clothes or showing off too much skin or doing wild, crazy things in bed. Back in the day, I read this post about the 1% secret society, the secret society that nobody knows about. Alright, this was a post on an old forum, alright, like back in the 2000s or something. It was an old archive that I was going through. So there, one post was that the 1%, alright, the secret society of 1%. And the thing is that this society, that you're not supposed to talk about it. Okay, you're not supposed to talk about it. It's almost like Fight Club.
First rule of Fight Club is you do not talk about Fight Club.
There's just 1% of the people who are getting laid, who are hooking up with people, and these are the people who are the players, or as we call, the fuckboys. So if you ask about this to anyone, they're not going to tell you about it. If you ask a girl, she's going to feel that fear of judgment. The main thing out here is about owning your sexuality and being completely non-judgmental, and at the same time understanding that human beings are sexual creatures and sex is an important part of us, and that sexual nature that goes down with everyone, and everyone wants to be having sex. And if you're in the correct state of mind, you will be finding yourself into more one-night stands and more hookups. Going deeper into this judgmental part, there are certain things that I hear girls saying to me all the time, at all times, and this is the things that clearly false. It's almost fucking bullshit. Now, at the same time, you also need to understand that sometimes it could be the truth, but mostly when I've been there, it's because girls try to not feel judged, and which is why they say things like, I never get guys home with me. Or she's going to be like, I've never done this before in my life. Or she's like, we're not going to have sex tonight. Or she's like, I don't do this very often. I don't hook up with people. And these are the things which I see women say all the time, even if they hook up with people or even if they don't. And naturally, every time if I'm with a girl, I just assume that she had her fair share of one-night stands or is in the process of having those fair share of one-night stands. That's definitely a possibility. So even if a girl says this to me, I'm not gonna fucking believe it until and unless I start dating her and we have that truthful connection out there. Because mostly it's not that girls are bitches. It's not like that they're fucking assholes and they want to lie to you. It's because they've been so hurt painfully every time, where they've been judged by other people, by the other girls and other boys, and their social standing has been so much hampered that they've learned to protect themselves by saying these kind of things, and also to take away the responsibility that when I'm going home with a guy, I've already said that I'm not gonna have sex with you and I don't do this very often. So now if it happens, it just naturally is happening. It's not that I had anything on my mind. And that's also another thing that girls say, that don't get any ideas about this. We're not gonna have anything tonight. We're not gonna have sex tonight. And most of the times, you might be that guy who'd be like, all right, I'm going home with a girl, nothing's gonna happen. But most of the times what happens when you go home with a girl, and of course there are no ideas, but naturally speaking, after some time, the vibe gets there. You're maybe watching a movie, just chilling, you start cuddling in bed, and now it's night time, and you kind of just feel like having sex, and that just fucking happens. All right, mostly these kind of things, generally don't believe them. Just assume that every girl has been in that stage where she's had one night stand and she's had hookup. Now another thing I want you guys to understand is that age also plays a huge factor in a girl, and like what phase in mind she is. And this is not only for girls but for guys as well. All right, for human beings it plays a huge role. Now when I was in my 20s, I wanted to hook up with girls more. All right, now when I'm gonna be close to 30, I'm 29 right now, I'm gonna be 30 end of this year. Woohoo! 30 साल के हो जाएंगे, मजा आ जाएगा. I think since the past year, couple of years, I've realized that I'd want much more deeper connections as well. So at the age of 20, I was like, nah, not at all, I don't want this at all. So age is gonna play a bigger factor, even for girls. When their college starts off, or when the college starts off till the time that they start working, the college years, people just want to have fun, alright? You don't go to college to fucking study. I mean, if you're in IIT and everything, you're like, yes, I gotta study, there's no money at home, I want to do stuff for my family, I want to do all that, and that's great. College is a time for you to have fun because those times don't come back. That's where you try out a lot of things. It's all about trying. I want to try this, I want to try that, I want to try this. And sex is one of the biggest things that everybody wants to try. And it just goes out to the fact that I've been with a girl, there was this time, I think it was Diwali time, alright? Back in the day, I think it was my final year in college, and I met this girl, not in college, met this girl at one of the clubs that I was, alright? So there were like 3 girls and there was the 3 of us, and we took them back to our place. My brother hooked up with a girl that time. I hooked up with another girl at that time. The third friend of ours just left back home because he wasn't able to. So after some time, my brother wanted to hook up with the third girl as well. So he started to chat her up, and me and my brother spoke. So he's like, yeah, is it fine if I switch up? And I was like, yeah, I mean, I'm thinking of the same thing. Let's switch up, alright? We were trying to hook up with the other girls, alright? So now what was happening was since one of the guys wasn't there, the girl that earlier hooked up with, she got got jealous looking at me talk to the other girl, and we had a lot of sexual tension. We were play fighting and everything, and it was just crazy. And my brother was out on the balcony with the third girl. So the girl that I hooked up with got jealous, and she instantly got the cab. Alright, so when the moment was gonna be coming, something can happen, she's like, ah, fuck it, fuck this, like I'm gonna just fucking go. Now, so the cab came and everything, whatever happened. So while leaving, we were going down, and I was in the last with this other girl. We were play fighting, and then while coming downstairs, we started making out. Alright, we started making out, and after that, she left. So the next day, I ended up meeting this girl again, the one who had hooked up with my brother. She came back home with me, we had sex. I clearly know that this girl hooked up with my brother literally a day before, and she's hooked up with me. So she cannot say that I don't do this very often. I'm pretty sure you do this pretty often only. And then after that, when I was dropping her back home, she was asking me, how many girls have you hooked up with this week? I was like, when's the last time you hooked up? And at that time, I wasn't hooking up a lot. So I was like, I think 1 or 2 times I hooked up, like last month or some shit I hooked up. So I asked her, how many people have you hooked up with? She's like, I've hooked up with 7 people in the past 10 days. And I really need to stop doing this. It's been crazy. The thing is that it was so non-judgmental. This is the crazy part, alright? This story just gets even fucking crazier. So I hooked up with my girl, and I went to meet her. And so how I hooked up with this other girl that my brother hooked up with, I went to meet the girl I had hooked up with the next day, and I told her that my brother wants the number of the other girl. She's like, sure, I'll send it to you. Came back home, she sent me the number. I called her up. I'm like, what are you doing? She's like, Kshitij. She didn't have my number already. She's like, Kshitij. I was like, yeah, what's up? What are you doing? She's like, I'm kind of studying. I'm like, you want to go for a walk? She's like, yeah, sure. We go there, we go for a walk, we go for a drive, and then we come back home. And that happened. Now later on, the girl I'd hooked up with, she knew that I hooked up with this girl. She texts me later. She's like, oh, you met my friend? I'm like, yeah, I did, haha. And she's like, haha. And she's like, when are you meeting me again? So now, keep it in mind that because we're so non-judgmental, the girl I hooked up with knows that I hooked up with her friend as well, who are completely best friends, and the other girl has hooked up with me and my brother as well. And now both of them want to meet me again. And on top of that, what happens is there's another girl, this girl's friend. So the first girl I hooked up with, after a year, what happens, like fast forward a year, she's like, dude, there's a friend of mine, I could hook you up with her. I'm like, yeah, sure. And I'm like, send a picture. So she sends a picture, and she's like, she knows where you stay and everything. She knows what the thing is. She could directly come home. Yeah, sure. We'll have to like go to a hotel or something. She's like, yeah, sure. I'll just send you a number. Just talk to her. So she sends me her number, a Snapchat or something, and we start talking. And next day she's there. One of the most wildest stories, one of the most wildest experiences ever. Like even after a year, the girl I'd hooked up with, and I hooked up with her best friend later, and even then uske baad se, through referral, she's sending me more people to like hook up with, to just hang out or to just chill with. Wild fucking shit, alright. The only part out here was that I was non-judgmental, I was fun, and I was someone who's gonna have a great time, and the girls are getting crazy fucking orgasms as well when they were with me, and they loved it, alright. Big dick energy fucking shit. And now some of you might be judging, alright, all these girls are fucking sluts and this and that. Bro, the thing is, like, if you were to meet these girls, you're gonna find out that these are the exact girls who you're gonna take home to meet your parents with. And one of these girls has already gotten married, alright. She's already gotten married. Nobody in her house knows what the fuck was happening. I think there's a point in time where she was fucking engaged, or she was going to be engaged, and she was hooking up with me. Some crazy shit, alright. So crazy fucking experiences happen only when you leave your judgment aside and you see things as they are, and not be like, if someone is doing something, it's because there's some problem with them, or you want to judge them. That's when you come to really understand the female psyche. That's where you start having these crazy fucking experiences. Now, all of these experiences people are more likely to have in the early 20s, when they're in the college stage, where they're right out of school and now they're completely free, or maybe they moved to a different city and they're in the college. Like, people don't know them a lot, parents are not there, so they want to just explore and do those things. As in when you start working, as in when you reach your 30s, your biological clock start ticking, you might have the other things like, you know, I want to be a father, I want to get married, I want to settle down. I've hooked up with a lot of fucking people, and now because I've hooked up with a lot of people, I'm bored of that, and I want to just settle down. Similarly with girls, alright. A girl would feel like, alright, I've explored everything, it's just the same thing, it's just the repetitive thing, and later on it just starts to feel empty. And now that I'm in my 30s, I want to be a mother as well, or I want to just get married, I want to settle down, I want to build a relationship. And that's naturally true as well, because in your later 30s, you'd want to do things like that. At the same time, let's say someone's been in a relationship for a long time, like the perfect girl who never has sex with anybody, she just wants relationships with people. She's had her first boyfriend, literally the first boyfriend she's had, and because she's had her first boyfriend, she's absolutely in love with the guy, and they're dating for like 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, love of her life. But then suddenly something happens and these guys break up. So let's say if they break up after 5 years, and even the boyfriend is never going to believe that she's going to hook up with someone else, but you can be absolutely fucking certain it's been 5 years, she wants to try out something new. It's crazy if the girl would want to be like, I want to just get into another relationship. She'd be like, I've been in a relationship with the guy for 5 years, I want to try out something new, I want to go out, I want to meet new guys, I want to explore different fucking dicks out there, I want to have crazy fucking experiences, I want to do things, I want to travel, I want to have sex in different fucking places. It's very fucking natural for someone to do that. At the same time, when you're doing that for a lot of time, it's very natural for someone to be like, oh, I want to settle down, I want to be in a relationship. So the judgment that goes there with a really nice girl who only does relationships but later on starts hooking up, or a girl who's only been hooking up but now wants to settle down. I don't think there's a lot of clarity around the fact who's going to be a better partner or who's not going to be a better partner. But tendencies can be there. I want to be in a relationship. I think I want to be in a relationship with a girl who's not hooking up with a new guy every fucking day, who's had some form of relationships as well. But at the same time, I want someone who's like, you know, at the middle of it, who's someone like, she's fine hooking up with people, but when she's dating someone, she's loyal as well. So most of the times girls are going to be loyal. If you talk to a girl and she says, yes, I've cheated with a boy before, but I'm really changed, don't just take that on face value. Just be a little bit cautious around her, but definitely give her a chance and find out if it's really going to work out or not. Let's talk about childhood experiences and when you're growing up. What effect does that have on your sexual life and you wanting to hook up with people as well? One of the biggest things that affects our sex life, as in like we want to get into a relationship or we want to hook up, is our childhood experiences. So if anytime in childhood we've felt abandonment and rejection, and anytime we've gotten close to a parent or we've gotten close to someone but we've gotten hurt, so we realize that we're not supposed to open ourselves up to people. So growing up, a lot of us are not capable of getting into relationships or being into relationships, and we always look for new stimulation, because when in a relationship, we feel like we're getting stuck out there, and that was me for the biggest amount of time. Similarly, that goes for girls as well. I think, you know, for specifically, most of the part, just dividing that into like a girl's thing or a boy's thing is not gonna really help. Majorly, when you're growing up and you've had difficult stuff, you are gonna be more likely to get into those one-night stands and wanna have crazy sexual experiences as well. So partly that thing also affects you. Telling you about my life, I grew up not very loved because my parents had a lot of issues between themselves. They had a lot of fights going on, and then eventually they got separated, and there was my stepmom and everything. On top of that, I was sent to a boarding school when I was 5. So things like abandonment, things like, you know, being overburdened by parents, not feeling like I'm being taken care of, and just anytime I'd open myself up to love, anytime I'd go towards my parents or anything, I've had negative associations with that. Eventually, to a point, facing so much trauma in life in the first formative years, the first 5 to 7 years of my life, my core internal working model became that anytime I go for love, anytime I open myself up, I'm gonna get hurt. So I'd better not open myself up, and I don't have needs, I don't have emotional needs only, I'm a strong fucking guy. Fuck that, I don't want that. So when you grow up, there's a part of you which is lonely. There's a part of you which desires that companionship, which desires that love. But anytime you go near that, you get scared, and so you close yourself off. So the only option out there becomes to just hook up with people to meet those needs. We eventually want love, but we're feeding ourselves sex. And this goes true for girls as well. If a girl has also had a traumatic childhood, she's gonna grow up and wanting to do more drugs and wanting to hook up with more people. That's gonna happen for men, that's gonna happen for women. But now, if you're of that mindset, if you're thinking that, all right, my thing has been perfect, so now, you know, the people who are hooking up are just fucking losers, that's not true as well. Because the thing is, which we already spoke about, is in your 20s, you want to explore things. Only when it becomes a compulsion is it becomes a problem. Somebody who comes from trauma, for him, it's a compulsion. But naturally telling you that should you be hooking up with someone or not? And if you're not hooking up, are you somehow better than someone who has had trauma? No, not at all. You're not better than anybody who's gone through trauma and is doing this out of that. It's important to understand that you might be someone who'd want to hook up with people and you might not have had any trauma. You're completely fine as well. At the same time, if you're someone to whom one-night stands and everything does not appeal at all, that's completely fine as well. The main thing is at different stage in life, you want different things. Maybe this is the time where you're in your early 20s and you want to explore more, or this could be the time that, you know, you're just getting out of a relationship and which is why you want to hook up more, or maybe you've done that so much that you just want to be in a relationship now and you just want to settle down and you don't want to have another intense 5 years of just a fucking relationship, and that's completely fine as well. Coming to the last part of the video, how did you get into one night stands? How do you hook up with people? Most of the things I've mentioned in the video already. All right, keep in mind the non-judgmental attitude. Understand that human beings are sexual creatures and women want to hook up with other people. You'd want to hook up with other people, and that has nothing to do with their character or anything like that. Third thing being, if someone is coming from trauma, that could be a compulsion. If it's a compulsion affecting you, like you want to be in a relationship but you're compulsively just hooking up with people, that is when it turns out into a problem. Otherwise, it's completely fine. Now, talking about actionable tips. So anytime you meet a girl, you're much better off building sexual tension rather than trying to build that emotional connection and opening your heart out and talking about vulnerable things, talking about how you were as a child, how you've been abandoned as a child, or having those deep down conversations. You're much better off having fun, having banter, teasing her, building sexual tension, being sexual, touching, knowing and understanding how you touch and how that builds sexual tension. Of course, consensual touch at all times, keeping her state in mind, keeping her consent in mind every time. At the same time, if a girl is saying something, not believing what she's saying clearly and not taking it at face value, but looking at her behavior rather than her words, looking at her actions rather than her words, that is going to be much easier for you to figure out and be great at fucking sex. So what you want to do is you want to make it a win-win for her. Right at the starting, you want to set the frame clearly that this is a sexual thing. This is that I'm out here for, just hooking up or just a one-night stand. Ideally, what you want to do is not break the girl's heart. Never trick the girl into believing that you're going to be in a relationship with her and that's why you guys are hooking up. Never give her the false hope or false promises of marriage, which is actually illegal. If you have sex with a girl on the false promise of marriage, don't do that. Not at all. But just set the frame right by focusing on sexual tension and just building attraction. And then when you end up hooking up with her, be extremely fucking nice. Don't be a dick, alright? Usually when I have hooked up with someone, I make sure there's food to eat. So I order dinner and everything. And then in the morning, when she goes back home, make sure to leave a text, alright? Just ask her as she reaches home. That's one thing which is going to be extremely important as well, which just shows that you're a nice guy and it opens up the opportunity for you to meet the girl again, which is the next part, that once you hook up with the person, once you have a one-night stand with the person, do they want to meet you again? One thing which you might be thinking is that if a girl is hooking up with you, she's going to regret it the very next day. Not at all. That is not at all true. Some time a girl would regret it, like sometimes you regret it, like let's say you're at a party and just get horny and there's one girl that you don't really like and you end up hooking up with her just because you're fucking horny in the morning. You're like, fuck yaar, kya kar liya, maine kyun kar liya? And everyone's been there, alright? We've hooked up with girls who haven't been as attractive and who've just been like, I mean, like I've been there, so I know that. But most of the times if you're nice and you chill and the girl is secure with her sexuality, she's not gonna regret it and she'd want to meet you again as well. So breakfast in the morning or dinner during night time and just being nice, just texting her when she goes back, having amazing fucking sex, not being judgmental, being very nice to her, respecting her, talking to her nicely is going to be amazing. But now here's the thing, can you be in a relationship with a girl that you've hooked up with? And this is something that again people say. I think I read somewhere one guy was like, bro, I know Shutaj, you can hook up with a lot of girls, but these are girls who would not want to date you. If you think that I can get a girl to hook up with me but not to date me, you guys are fucking crazy. The amount of times it happens that a girl hooks up with me and wants to date me is absolutely fucking crazy after that. Anytime a girl wants to date me and if I don't want to be in a relationship, I say no. But if I want to date someone, I go ahead and do that. Most of my relationships, whenever they turn out into a relationship, have been after I've hooked up with them. So that very naturally leads into a place of a relationship. So once you've hooked up with someone or once there's a one-night stand, it kind of almost just depends on you where you want to take it. Do you want to continue seeing the girl again or you don't want to continue seeing the girl again? Do you want to turn it into an open relationship or do you want to turn it into a proper deep relationship? You can do anything. And honestly, for me being in a relationship, I want to have sex with a girl before. I want to see how sexual she is. I want to see if she's even good at sex. And naturally, when you keep seeing a girl, after a while, naturally she'd want to be in a relationship. So if you're hooking up with a girl for quite some time, it's naturally easier for you to turn it into a relationship and she'd want to be in a relationship with you as well because now you guys know each other more and much better. And one last tip for you guys before we sign off is like one biggest thing which has helped me anytime I want to keep it into an open relationship or turn it into a deep relationship is that if I wanted to be an open relationship, I make sure to not meet the girl more than once or twice a week and just not do phone calls at all. Maybe just do one phone call a week. And texting is also just a little bit of texting to just make plans. All right, we don't get into like, all right, my mood is like this, I'm like this, I'm like that. But if she talks about her mood, if she says I'm having a bad day, I am gonna be there. I'm gonna be like supportive and then make plans to meet her. Whereas if there's a girl who I want to be in a relationship with, I think we're gonna talk more. We might just talk every alternate day or we might just talk daily, and we'd meet more often during the week as well. At the same time, I'm gonna talk more about how my day has been. I'm gonna build more comfort. I'm gonna have a better emotional connection with her. I'm gonna open myself up more. I'm gonna be vulnerable more. These are the things which I'm not gonna do with the other girl. With the other girl, it's just an open relationship. It's gonna be more about fun, banter, about just having sex, having crazy wild sex. Like I'm gonna cuddle afterwards, but I'm not gonna be like, baby, I love you, you know, so much. Making sure that you set the expectations right from the start, and just keep one thing in mind, which can be the golden rule for you, that just leave her better than you found her. Do not give wrong expectations and fuck up a girl's trust issues because she trusted you into one thing and turned out to be something else. We're out here to make women have a great time. We're out here to not make them regret that decision, not hate men even more. There's already a lot of hate going on. Just be truthful with the girl right from the start and do not lead her on. And that brings us to the end of the video, boys. If you want to know more about this, if you want to learn more, if you want me to help you out with your dating life, understanding how you're supposed to banter with a girl, how you're supposed to flirt, at the same time, how do you build that emotional connection, what we're doing is we're doing free calls. All right, we're doing free calls where we're going to talk to you, we're going to help you out, we're going to understand what your situation is and help you achieve those goals, whatever goals you have with your dating and social life. Just click on the link below. The link is in the description box as well, also the link flashing out here. just go to imylifestyle.co/coaching, schedule a free breakthrough session with us. It's going to be extremely helpful for you, and one of the biggest things that you might be going through right now, you could just get the answers to them and just reach amazing fucking breakthroughs right there on the call. And that's going to be all from my side, guys. Make sure you hit the subscribe button, you spank it, smash it, demolish it. This is Kshitij signing off. Peace out, boys.